So for this video, you're going to need your Gateway worksheet that you got in class today. So if you could pull that out. We're going to talk about domain and range now. We did independent and dependent variables yesterday. We're going to talk about domain and range today. Remember, domain is the list of all x values, and range is the list of all y values. So if I'm going to do the domain here, I only have 3 ordered pairs. So I'm going to use list in a curly bracket. I have smallest to largest. I have a -3, a -2 as an x, a -1, and a 0. My range are the list of my y's, which would be 4, 3, 2, and 1. And actually, they should be from smallest to largest. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. If I look at those ordered pairs, this is a function because no x is mapped to another y. Now, looking at an inverse actually just reverses those ordered pairs. So we're going to go -1, -3, 2, -2, 3, -1, and 4, 0. So, sorry, I don't know why I didn't write that in that blank. Now, is this a function? There is no x that repeats to another value, so yes, the inverse would also be a function. It's going to number 2. I have domain of, let's see, smallest, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. I have range of 0, 1, and 4. I don't list them twice. Is this a function? I don't have an x that goes to a different y, so yes, it would be. Now let's flip those. I would still have 0, 0 as my first ordered pair. I would have 1, 1 as my second ordered pair. I would have 1, -1 as my third ordered pair. 4, 2, and 4, -2. Right here we have 2 examples. 1, x goes with 2 different y's, and the 4x goes to 2 different y's. So this inverse would not be a function. So I'd like you to pause your video right now and go ahead and figure out what these answers would be. Check your answers, make sure you got them right. So let's move on. List the appropriate domain and range for the given graphical relation and then determine whether or not the relation is a function. So the first thing I'd like you to do is add arrows to the end of this graph and the end of these 2 sides. Now here, there is no possible way that I could list every domain from left to right. My graph starts here. With that arrow, it actually goes forever this way. Okay, so if I were to list everything, I'd have to list, let's see, I'd have -0.99, -0.75, -0.5, -0.25, -0.1, 0, 1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.45, 0.46, 0.47. There are just too many numbers to list, okay? When we list, we use the curly bracket to list, and then I would write down every single x value that's used on the graph. If I can't list, I use what's called interval notation. Okay, so what I do is I say, where is the left side? I'm doing domain. The left side of that graph starts at -1. The right side goes all the way to infinity. At -1, there's an open circle, so that would be a parenthesis, and I always put a parenthesis around infinity. So an open circle would be a parenthesis, which means I don't include it. Range. When I'm looking at range, I look at the bottom of the graph to the top of the graph, and again, this goes on forever. The bottom of the graph is -1, the top of the graph is infinity, and again, there's an open circle. Is it a function? Well, I tell whether it's a function by doing the vertical line test, and I can't hit it twice, so yes, it would be a function. Let's move to the right. Where would the left side of this graph be? If these arrows keep going forever and ever and ever, the left side of this graph is going to keep going to the left. That would be negative infinity. Let's talk about the right side, because domain is left to right. So the right side, if these arrows keep going out and out and out and out and out forever because of the arrow, then I don't have a left bound over here for domain. So the right side is going to be positive domain. And again, infinity, positive infinity. Infinity always gets a parenthesis. Okay? So again, domain is left to right. Range is bottom to top. All right, now let's look at the range. Well, I do have a bottom. It's right there. This top goes on forever. Okay? Just like these sides go on forever. The bottom of this is 3. The top, again, is infinity. I know infinity always gets a parenthesis. Now here, I don't have an open circle. I actually have a point at -3. Sorry, that's a -3. If I have a point on -3 that is included, so a point as opposed to an open circle like this graph, I use a bracket. This guy can pass the vertical line test, so this would also be a function. Let's look at these last 3 situations. So again, domain is left to right. Left of the bracket here, and I'm going to add arrows on here, and that's all on this page. So the right side goes forever. The left side would be -2, the right side is infinity. Infinity always has a parenthesis, but since this is a point right here at -2, I will use a bracket to say yes, include -2. Range. Range would be bottom. Well, where is the bottom of this graph? These arrows keep going down, 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 then the bottom is going to go down. So we're going to have forever. Same thing on the top. If that arrow keeps going, we're going forever. So range is bottom, comma, top. Bottom is negative infinity, top is positive infinity, and that always gets a parenthesis. Notice this cannot pass the vertical line test. It hits twice, so no, this would not be a function. Domain here. Here is the left side of my graph. Here is the right side of my graph. So if I were going to do left to right, it would be this. On the left side of the graph, I have a closed circle. That will get me a bracket. On the right side of my graph, I have an open circle, which will be a parenthesis. Range, bottom to top. Bottom is -2, top is 4. There's an open circle on the -2, and I have a closed circle up at the 4. This will pass the vertical line test, so yes, it is a function. All right, now 9, we're kind of back to what we had at the very beginning of this video. I have individual points. Nothing connects. So the first thing I'm going to do is list the domain. So I'm going to start at the left, and I'm going to work my way over. So my smallest x is -3, I have a -1, I have a 1, I have a 2, I have a 3. My range, I'm going to start bottom to top. So I have a -2, a -1, a 1, a 2, a 4. Is it a function? Well, right here doesn't pass the vertical line test, so no. I hope all you girls don't go shopping with this mother. That's kind of scary.